Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
We will continue our discussion with the words which help us understand role of human mind in learning language and understanding language. When we say we will look at words, we will continue looking at underlying patterns in making of words for us to understand how we figure out underlying patterns so early and what are the examples of those patterns. By now you have seen several examples of such patterns, and we have tried to understand how these words and little bit modification of words help us understand underlying patterns of language and the role of human mind. The underlying pattern is the crucial thing for us to understand, and we have seen several examples of such underlying patterns. We have also looked at constraints on the formation of words, and those constraints play a very important role in making words, and in turn those constraints help us understand how and why a combination of any set of sounds is not possible to make words. We also looked at morphemes, which happens to be a minimal meaningful unit of a word, to understand formation of words and how parts could be added to words. We looked at examples from plural formation of Hindi. When we were looking at plural formation of Hindi, we looked at the fact that though we have several types of words, we see lot of variation in plurals, but there are pretty straightforward rules that operate in giving us plurals. First of all, when we collect 10, 20 or 50 words in Hindi, 50 nouns in Hindi, and then try to see their plurals, they look completely odd in the sense that we find nothing. We have seen examples where we have things like kamada becomes kamade in plural, santara becomes santare, kapada becomes kapade, but pani does not change, ghar does not change its plural form, ghar does not change its shape in its plural form, adami does not change its form in the plural form. Ghar means house, adami means man, and there are all other types of examples which we can see. But what you have seen so far, a careful discussion and careful look at words will tell us that there are simple straightforward rules for us to see that there aren't exceptions in formation of plurals. And we have seen the rules like and to see that pattern we needed to divide the whole set of Hindi words into two parts, masculine nouns and feminine nouns. Gender plays a very important role in most of the South Asian languages. When we say very important role, we mean an important role in the agreement for formation of sentence. Pretty soon we are going to be looking at sentences, and we will be looking at the significance of gender in making a sentence, in the agreement pattern of a sentence, and I will explain what we mean by agreement patterns when we are looking at a sentence little later. So, for the time being, we need to understand that assignment of gender to a noun in a language like Hindi is arbitrary. That is, there is no underlying rule why a noun should be masculine and why a noun should be feminine, except in the cases of natural gender. For example, a word like maize in Hindi is feminine, this means table. However, if we use the same object and use the English word in Hindi, table, this becomes masculine. An object like kameez, which means shirt, is feminine in Hindi. However, if we want to use the word shirt for many, it is masculine. Kitab is feminine, pencil is feminine. Why these things should be either masculine or feminine, there is no justification for that. Such a thing is called arbitrary assignment of gender. However arbitrary these assignments are, however arbitrary these genders are, Hindi speakers who learnt Hindi very early will make no mistakes in identifying gender of a noun, and therefore they come up with a type with grammatical sentences of their language. Now, we will look at grammaticality and what kind of role gender plays in the grammaticality of a sentence again when we are looking at sentences. So, to wind it up, we have seen that a masculine noun can be of two types, one that ends with a vowel a and the other group where they do not end with vowel a. The final sound of a word could be anything but final a, and then for these two sets we just need two rules. For the nouns that end with a, the final a changes to a and we get a plural form. For the nouns that do not end with a, we do not, such words do not change their forms, they remain the same, they do not vary in shape, in form, in their plural patterns. This is an important part, this is an important pattern, and we see this organization in human mind, and from the data set that a child receives while learning a language, a child figures out this set, these two rules subconsciously, unknowingly, without instruction, without being cautious about understanding rules, and in turn these things become part of knowledge of language which we are not so aware about. And this is what it means, that we know a lot about our language, but we do not know those rules explicitly. This becomes one such example, that all Hindi speakers know this rule, therefore they can come up with plural counterparts, but it's hard for them to give these rules. All right. So, this underlines a lot of things that we have discussed so far. Of course, the most important being how it is stored in human mind, how it is part of universal grammar, how it is part of principles that are part of universal grammar, and how this gets applied in the process of language acquisition through language acquisition device. Similarly, when we look at feminine nouns, we again find two types, one that ends with long e and the other which do not end with long e. There is one set of rule for the feminine nouns that end with long e, and the other set of rules for the feminine nouns that do not end with long E. These things tell us lot of stories. And this is what we have been telling you, that we will be looking deeper into the structure of sounds, words and sentences to see what we mean by underlying patterns, what we mean when we say language is a rule governed system, what we mean when we say language is mathematical, rules apply mathematically in language. We are going to look at 2 or 3 examples in a different way to see these underlying patterns related to words to wind this up. So, look at the set of feminine nouns again. A word like khidki becomes khidkiyan, gaadi becomes gaadiyan, kitab. So, these two, khidki and gaadi, are one type of feminine nouns, and the other type will be words like kitab and bahu. Please pay attention to these examples, which I have tried to choose carefully for you to see. However, you can come up with numerous examples of these types, but all such feminine nouns can be categorized by these 2 types. One, that are ending with long E like khidki, E the final vowel in this word, gaadi the final sound of this word is long E, and kitab which does not end with long E, and bahu which also does not end with long E. But the story of kitab and bahu is slightly different in the sense that kitab ends with a consonant ba and bahu ends with another vowel, but not long E. Now, I want to attract your attention to the plural forms again. Please look at the examples on your screen. And see what's going on. In the plural form, what's going on is look at both singular and plural forms. In the singular form, you see the final vowel as the long vowel. Wherever a feminine noun ends with a vowel, the vowel is long. And in such cases, in the plural counterpart, the first thing that you observe is shortening of vowels. So, look at the 2 examples like khidki and gaadi. They are marked on the screen with blue or purple, and you can see the shortening of vowels. In the word khidkiyan and gaadiyan, the vowel is becoming shorter. So, that is the first thing that happens, and this sets a stage for something being added, some additional part being added, and now you know how we can describe this additional part, and we can call it a morpheme. So, when an additional morpheme gets added to the verb to a word, it starts its preparation, in the sense that particularly if it is ending with a vowel, it is not going to remain the same. The shortening of vowel takes place, and which you can see in 3 examples at least on your screen. Khidkiyan has short E, gaadiyan has another short E, and the word bahu, the vowel sound U is also short. Then comes the plural marker. In one set it is a, and the other set it is a. So, the nouns that end with long E takes the marker a, and this is why I have marked them in red for you to see that they are the plural markers. And the nouns that do not end with long E, in other words, they may end with anything other than long E, they get the plural marker A. Now, remember, the sound A was the marker of plural in the masculine nouns as well. So, if we keep the same marker as plural for masculine and feminine both, then probably we will not be able to maintain their gender distinction. Therefore, you see a systematic difference between masculine and feminine plural patterns. In feminine, you see both the markers A and A systematically get nasalized. So, you see the word ladkiyan, you see the word gadiyan. Now, I want you to see this carefully, that in the word khirkiyan, iyan is not the plural morpheme, is not the plural part of the word, plural marker in the word. Instead, I want your attention to see that there is more than that, and that more than that more is first shortening of vowel, long vowel from the root word becomes short, then we get plural marker, and then we get plural markers nasalized. Good so far? And this applies across the board in feminine plural forms. There is one more thing that happens in plural formation of feminine nouns. Now, remember, I mentioned a minute ago that in order to host a morpheme on the root verb, we have shortened the final vowel. Now, that is one part, and that is one part of the Hindi phonology or Hindi morphophonology that is taken care of. Please pay attention to these rules and application of these rules to see the systematic, the rule governed phenomena of language, and then you will be able to appreciate how this works in subconscious mind. So, shortening of vowel is one part, one rule that applies first. Then the other rule is Hindi words, particularly the ones that end with a vowel, cannot take another vowel as a morpheme. Look at this carefully. Hindi words that end with a vowel cannot take another morpheme which begins with a vowel. Now, here we find an example of a word like khirki that ends with a vowel, and the plural marker begins with a vowel. There is a conflict of two rules. The rule says you cannot add a vowel if the word already ends with a vowel. So, even after making it short, we have a problem. So, to take care of that problem, the way Hindi as an example takes care of this problem is it inserts a sound which is a consonant, but this sound is called semi vowel, and it's a consonant sound, but it's called semi vowel because it resolves the conflicts of two rules that are related to vowels. By inserting such a sound in these examples, ya, we take care of the existing rule of Hindi morphophonemics, Hindi morphology, Hindi morphophonetics, that a word ending with a vowel will not allow another word, another morpheme coming on it which begins with a vowel. By inserting such a sound, we get the stage ready for the plural marker a to come in. Now, see how this languages resolve its issues. Again, the issue is on one hand we have a rule, on the other hand we have a marker. Plural markers in Hindi are vowels. That cannot be changed. On the other hand, we have a rule, if there is already a vowel at the final position of a word, another vowel cannot come. To resolve this, we get ya. So, there are couple of things underlined here which will help you understand the phenomena, that the whole part after ladki is not the plural marker. Plural markers are indicated in red in these examples, and then for each one of the sounds I have explained you how they are part of the existing rules, application of the existing rules, and then we get the plural formed in Hindi. These are important parts for us to understand. We need to understand two more examples, and we will work with these two examples, and you will see those two examples shortly. Thank you.